तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णदर्शाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिने ते सरस्वती भगवाचार्य विशेषं पाश्चात्यदेशं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु श्री अद्वैत गदाधर हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे कृष्ण. We will continue the discussion what Prabhupada is speaking on these verses. When egoism and ignorance is agitated by sex energy of personality, got a subtle element, sound is manifested. So from here, the actual what we are seeing the understanding Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, there was some internet issues. So here we were discussing how this is very important because my subject is very deep. So even 1 2 class will not be sufficient in each understanding of each topic. We can go more and more deeper in this topic, but we will try to do some justice. Try to do some justice for it. Prabhuji has explained it, but still, if we read, we can get more understanding. And after my speaking, also, if you other devotee comes in, because content is so much, we'll not be able to do justice of. But so here, when egoism, even Prabhupada also is writing everywhere purports very nicely in this because the content is like that. Even Prabhupada also likes it since. When the egoism and ignorance is agitated by sex energy of the Supreme Personality of God, the subtle element sound is manifested. So here, this is a very important point also. So from ego only this is coming. Now the sex energy of Supreme Personality of God is love only. So it is pure. Even though this is pure, but the contact with ignorance is actually making it contaminated. And the original sound element, anavritti shabda, we say na, from the sound everything manifests. Once this comes, now once the sound is manifested, all the creation comes. Now when we want to come out of creation, we should take help of sound because from here all the other things are starting. From where it is starting? From the sound only. And with the help of sound only, we can come out. Till here, it is much more subtler and it is pure only. But from here, its contamination starts from the sound. We'll see what Prabhupada says. It appears on this verse that all objects of our sense gratification are products of egoism and ignorance. So this is where Prabhupada starts. Before that, it was passion. It was the andhakaranas are there, manchitti, buddhi, ahankara. But this ahankara, it starts everything. It is understood from this verse that by agitation of elements of egoism in ignorance, there was egoism in passion, egoism in goodness, with manas and buddhi. The first thing produced was sound, which is subtle form of ether. That means the space is the ether part, which and the subtler part of that space is sound. It is also stated in Vedanta Sutta that sound is the origin of all objects of material positions, and that by sound one can also dissolve the material existence. Here, why it is sound? It is the here. Whereas man buddhi chitta ahankar is a subtler part. Even with that also we can come out of this material world, just purifying them. Because of this we are having material body. That is a little more. Anavritti Shabda means liberation by sound. The entire material manifestation begins from sound, and sound can also end a material entanglement if it has a particular potency. The particular sound capable of doing this is the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna. Our entanglement in material affairs have begun from material sound. Very important. As long as we are watching advertisements, we will be having this entanglement. As long as we are watching movies or songs or we are hearing from people, this is in the present age. And previous ages, it was what? Yamimam pushpitam vacham prabhavante vipashchitaha vedavad ratapartha nanya tasthiti vadinaha kamatmanam swargabharam janma labha pala pradam kriya vishesha bhulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. This is the reason what Krishna gives in the second chapter, the third chapters is the second chapter. The main reason for our cause of entanglement in this metal world is Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. Vacham is the sound. There is a sound from the Vedas. And what type of sound? The sound is materials. Even the Vedas only, but it is material. Why it is material? Because it is telling about material things. Pushpitam Vacham. It is telling how we can enjoy in this material world. That is the point. It is telling how you can go to Swarga, how you can have good progeny, how you can have good this, good that, good name, good fame, and you can become all these things. Material sound is in the Vedas also. That's why Narada Muni, he came and he was questioning Vyas Maharshi because of this only. That "Arey, how can you give all these things? This is all even material sound is from Vedas also. And now we don't have material sounds now. We have TV and social media. And most important is advertisements. So this is what is the material sound, and that is the cause of entanglement. Of course, another important material sound is basically all these things is association. Karanam gunasangasya. Gunasangasya. What is that association? Association is what I am hearing, which makes my personality. Now, what I am speaking now, this is what I heard. That's why I am able to speak. That's all. Hearing happens in our mind also because of the experiences I have. Like now, if I take a very, very negative class or very derogative class, or if I have very, very offensive class, that means that is what is going on in my mind. I start chastising, "Arey, this is like this, ISKCON is like this, world, this. If I start chastising somebody or no, starting some negative thing, what happened is that is the vibration that is going on mind, it is coming out. How did that come? Because of some association. I heard from some devotees blasphemy, it entered into my mind, my thought process became like that, and I am also speaking like that. So it's so much connected. Like if we are speaking about pure devotional service because we are hearing pure devotional service. If you hear dharma, you speak dharma. That's why we have to be very careful whom we are hearing. Like sometimes in status, the devotees keep outsiders also and other sampradaya people also or some other devotees. The problem is now we start speaking that if we hear. We should not hear, not very safe unless we are very advanced. Like yesterday, I was in one status, one person kept, see, heartbeat, it is, some examples are not very harmful, but it is not right. He was telling, see, heartbeat in the hospital, it is straight. And then he said that it is straight. That means the person is dead. But when a person has up and downs in the heartbeat, then he is alive. That means there will be happiness, distress, happiness, distress, happiness, distress. If you have happiness, distress, then you are alive. If you don't have, you are a dead person. So that was his answer. it is it is not correct analogy. But what happens is we here, I'm just telling that how we will get affected. I'm just giving this example to make that when we hear, we repeat it. Better to hear very pure thing. Better to hear from proper person because that will help us to repeat only that very core Krishna conscious understanding. Even though some outside people are even other who are giving nice examples and analogies, not safe actually. We will we'll start. I don't like to generally I avoid hearing them, even though it is coming very nice. I just unless it is very good. Like some examples are good, but we should be very careful in hearing. It comes on its own accord. You can remember. Otherwise, better avoid it. Like I wrote so much notes in the beginning of my Krishna conscious. I used to write nice example stories, concepts. Is that so many books I filled, but then fortunately 5 years back I got some realization. I understood that I'm writing so many things, I'm reading so many things, but I am not getting the concepts very clear. Then Bhakti Vigyan Mara lectures I started hearing before also. I said, no, I'm not focusing. I'm hearing here, there, everywhere. Then I took all the books, tied them, went to the nearby lake, and I dumped all my notes there. And I dumped all the notes. I thought I'll focus on only one speaker first. I'll hear them properly, understand the concepts very clearly, then other things will help. Otherwise, if I want to give class, I'm opening my notes, seeing what jokes I should tell, what stories I should tell. I am not giving any concepts only for people. I'm just telling what I have made, but that is not correct. And of course, not for class, but for my own development, I understood I should focus on my quality of people. Then it will help because that is what is your personality. What we are hearing is our personality, whatever we hear. If you are sitting in front of TV, news you are hearing, you are that person. You are hearing from some, otherwise we no hearing, our mind is start hearing. We start hearing to our mind. That is also a problem because it is not pure now. We can hear our mind, but when it completely pure. Otherwise it will start saying this is so many problems, this problem, that problem, this thing, that thing, so many other things. And propels clearly sling. Our entanglement in material affairs has begun from material sound, right? Now we must purify that sound in spiritual understanding. The more we have to hear kirtans, bhajans, that also we have to hear from very, very advanced people, kirtan especially. There is sound in spiritual world also. If we approach that sound, then our spiritual life begins and other requirements for spiritual advancement can be supplied. We have to understand very clearly that sound is the beginning of the creation of material objects for our sense gratification. It is very clear. Very clearly, sound is the beginning of the creation of all material objects for our sense gratification. That means the objects which you are seeing na, for enjoyment, they are also manifestation of sound only. Like I have my mobile, my laptop, my things around the books are there, or some whatever bodies are there, whatever body we got, it's a manifestation of sound. Of it's a wave. Of course, it is became solid. The vibrations have less. Otherwise, as such, if it is very spiritual, it is very active, normal. Similarly, if sound is purified, our spiritual necessities are also produced from sound. Here it is said the sound which becomes more and more and more dull, it becomes solid. Which becomes more and more subtle, it becomes sound like that. Subtle, when the vibration reduces, it becomes gross. Like if you see water vapor, water and ice. Ice is like the vibrations are very less. Water has more, and water vapor has much more vibrations. Like that. Here it is said that from sound the ether become manifested, and from air become manifested from ether. How the eternal sky comes from sound, how the air comes from sky, and how fire comes from air will be explained later on. Sound is the cause of sky. Sky is the cause of stotram, the ear. The ear is the first sense for receiving knowledge. We must give oral reception to any knowledge one wants to receive, either material or spiritual. Therefore, stotram is very important. Hearing. The Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, to hear. Everything is connected. Knowledge has to be received by hearing. By hearing only can we have access to either material or spiritual knowledge. So, first thing, if a person is sleeping, what is the way? You have to sound and for that name also. That means objects are given names. Otherwise, we'll not know. Now, if I want to tell laptop, if I don't give name to it, I'll not be able to tell what it is because I'm able to tell this. Oh, this is laptop. That's why I'm able to explain to you what it is. So name should be given. In the material world, we manufacture many things for our material comfort simply by hearing and naming both. They are already there, but just by hearing, one can transform them. This is also very important. Many things for our comfort simply by hearing. We manufacture. They are already there, but just by hearing, we can transfer. If we want to build a very big skyscraper, this is a very important concept. There is 4 days, 4 big seminars on this way. Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj on sound. I will not take this seminar for you now. But how it happens is, say now, if you want to build a building, like big building is there, all the so you have a building. Now, this building to manufacture, what is important is you have to speak about it. Then only this will come. People say there is first you speak, that is at the level of it is at the level of desire. That means I want to have something which is like this. Then there is blueprint. That is at the level of manas. And then actual building. This is at the level of buddhi. Like this is happening. Means activity means at the level of senses, you can say. So when this is like any flight, you want to fly in the air. How did aeroplane come? First, the desire to fly came, right? Then you started manufacturing various means to fly, either helicopter or airplane. Wright brothers. So Wright brothers, they first what they did, they got a desire to fly, right? So that means where it is, that's why it is still. If we want to build a big skyscraper, that does not mean that we have to create it. The materials for the skyscraper, wood material, etc., are already there. But we make our intimate relationship with those already created material elements by hearing how to utilize them. So this is another point Prabhupada is telling. This is next level. Now you have to develop a desire, then it will manifest. Now already the elements are there. For that to manifest also, you have to relate with them. Modern economic advancement for creation is also product of hearing. And similarly, one can create a favorable field of spiritual activities by hearing from the right source. Arjuna was a gross materialistic. The concept of Prabhupada is addressing two things. One point he's telling, like I want to connect to object, you have to start hearing from it. Then only you can create. Now I want to create the building. What should I do? I have to hear about it, connect the things. The intimate relationship. This is by hearing only. Like boy and girl. The girl hears about the boy, then the intimate relationship. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangas Teshu Pajayate. Sanga Sanjayate Kam. First is Dhyayato, you just meditate, then you appreciate, then you feel attachment. Like hearing is very important, and that hearing is a product produced from sky. By hearing only can one, then we make proper use of what has already existed. The principle of hearing is properly utilized. Preconceived material is applied to spiritual paraphernalia as well. We must hear from proper spiritual source. So proper is also telling the same thing. Hear from proper spiritual source. Otherwise, we'll just end up in speaking so many things without any clear concepts. And of course, in this Parapatna, so many things are there, but I'm really sorry for not doing justice for it. We can go on was happily discussing this. Such a nice concept, but we are not having so much time for now. Maybe some Saturday, Sunday sessions will take this part. Of course, we have to take. Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object, indicates the presence of a speaker screened from our view and constitute the subtle form of ether. So this is in connection with what we have. True knowledge defines sound. What is the definition of sound? As that which conveys the idea of an object. If I want to explain, okay, this is this size, this shape, this thing, indicate the presence of a speaker screened from our view and constitute the subtle form of ether. Sound means that you are able to, you have to create the sound also. No? That means there should be creator of sound. There should be idea about the object, and then there is the space which carries the sound. Here, it is very clear herein that as soon as we speak of hearing, there must be speaker. This is the first thing. There must be speaker. Without a speaker, there is no question of. Therefore, Vedic knowledge, which is known as Shruti, or that which is received by hearing, is called Apaurusha. Apaurusha is not spoken by any person materially created. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya. The sound of Brahma or Veda was first impregnated into the heart of Brahma, the original learned man, Adi Kava. How did he become learned? Whenever there is learning, there must be speaker and process of hearing. So here two things. To that which sound is that which conveys the object, there should be speaker and the ether. So these three things. This is the second. Constitute a settled form. So here it is said the process of the speaker, but Brahman is the first created. There speaker and process of hearing. Speaker is there, and process of hearing is through what? You should have ears also. You should have ether also. But Brahma was the first created being. Who spoke to him? Since no one was there, who was the spiritual master to give knowledge? He was the only living creature. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge was imparted within his heart by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone as Paramatma. Vedic knowledge is understood to be spoken by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is free from defects of material understanding. Even the Vedic knowledge, but there are in Vedas also material things are also there. Vedic knowledge. Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. Krishna insists there are flowery words in Vedas. That means it is material content. Material understanding is defective. If you hear something from a conditioned soul, it is full of defects. That is why we should not hear from anybody. We should hear from Parampara or a person who is repeating in Parampara. Bhagavad Gita as it is. All material and mundane information is tainted by illusion, error, cheating, and imperfection of senses because Vedic knowledge is imparted by Supreme Lord who is transcendental to material creation. It is perfect. If we receive the Vedic knowledge from Brahma and discipleship, then we receive perfect knowledge. And now comes important concept. Every word we hear has a meaning behind it. See, this is for Sanskrit applicable to Sanskrit, not for any other language. Every means, of course, there is meaning, but Sanskrit has more. It is much more. As soon as we hear the word water, other it is applicable, but Sanskrit has one more advantage also. As soon as we hear the word water, there is a substance water behind the water. Similarly, as soon as we hear the word God, there is a meaning to it. If we receive meaning and explanation of God from God Himself, then it is perfect. Here, what is the importance? Here, when we hear the word water, there is a substance water. In Sanskrit, the advantage, water is called apa. In Sanskrit. So when we say apa, the sound vibration of apa and the vibration of water are same. That means if we say apa, properly you pronounce word apa, the sound vibration you can create water only. That's how Brahma creates. He just chants the sound vibration of that object. Bhagavad Gita, which is the science of God, is spoken by personality of God. This is the perfect knowledge. Mental speculators are so-called philosophers who are researching what is actually God will never understand the nature of God. The science of God has to be understood in disciplic section. So we have to hear from disciplic section. Who was first instructed about knowledge of God by God Himself. Who can understand knowledge of God by hearing Bhagavad Gita from a person authorized in disciplic section. When we speak of seeing, there must be form. This is also very important. Second thing comes. When we speak of seeing, there must be form. What you will see? You see just ether we are seeing. There is no form of ether. Then we what is seeing? We cannot see anything. This is nothing. By our sense perception, the beginning experience is the sky. Sky is the beginning form, and form of sky from the sky, form emanates. Even the sky don't have form, but form comes from sky. The object of knowledge sense perception begins, therefore, from the sky. Bhutanam chidram datravan bahir antaram evacha pranendriyatma dishyatvam nabaso vitti lakshanam. The activities and characteristics of the ethereal element can be observed as accommodation for the room, for the external and internal existence of all living entities, named in the field of activities of a the vital layer, the senses and the mind. So till our body also, no, there is some more space. Above also we occupy some space. So here is vital air. That is, I am afraid I am not able to explain all these things in detail. But this is ether is not understood by scientists. They sometimes some of them accept or they don't accept. There is this element of ether is very mysterious even for scientists also. But we can understand by observed as accommodation per the rule. Like in a lift, they say only 8 members are allowed or some number. Why? It is space. So that space is considered as ether and room for the internal external existence, namely the field of activity of vital air. That means our vital air, the prana vayus, they are circulating in a particular area. That area is our akash. That is area is our ether. Listen, here ether is akash. The mind, the senses, the vital force or living entities have forms. Also, mind also is having a form. Here mind, no, there is chitta, buddhi, mana, ahankar, all have some form. The senses have form. Prana also has form, vital force have forms, although they are not visible. Like from form rests in the subtle existence in the sky, and internally it is perceived as the veins within the body and the circulation of vital air. Now, how we know the form? Because we have form. Now, this is actually forming form. How to prove that mind has form? How do we know mind has form? Because we got a body. Our body shape, na, it's actually the shape of mind. Our body shape is the shape of mind. You're understanding? Like if my shape of a body, if my shape of mind is of demigods, I'll get demigod body. If it is like a dog, I get dog body. That means if you are training your mind to be animal conscious, then automatically we get animal body. The body is shape of mind. That's the concept. If it is a dog, like the attitude, if we say, na, how did you live? If you live like, if your mind is like a dog mentality, what is the body we get? right? It is so simple. That's why yam vapi smaram bhavam. When Krishna tells in 8.67, yam vapi smaram bhavam, your bhavam is what? Mentality, right? Bhavam. Bhavam means mentality. Yam vapi is whatever your mentality, tam tam evaiti konde sada tat bhavavate. Accordingly, you are getting the body. That means you have a shape, right? The mind has shape. And senses have shape that we understand. Our eyes, nose, ears, different. It manifests in a different way. Eyes will look, no, but cat will be different. Humans are different. Elephant is different. But in general, we know eyes means it should be some brightness and some light and nose in a particular way, ears in a particular. For animals also, you see, you can identify. You see a frog, you say, okay, these are the eyes of a frog. These are this. We can identify because they have a form. Similar, the prana also has form. That's what is told. We'll accept it. Now, I cannot prove how prana has form. But if, people who have yogis, they can see chakras and other things. So they understand, yes, it has a form. The production of visible sense objects in the external activity of the ethereal element and the circulation of vital air and blood in it is its internal activity. Oh, so here the form rests in the subtle existence in the sky, and internal it is perceived as the veins within the body. The form rests in the subtle existence in the sky. Directly, it is not seen with our naked eyes, and externally it is sky. And what is internally that internally it is perceived as veins within the body and circulation of vital air. Externally, they are invisible forms of sense objects. The production of invisible sense objects in the external activity of ethereal elements and the circulation of vital air and blood is its internal activity. So, this is how the internal external. Prabhupada is also not very, means Prabhupada is not leaving any point. He wanted to cover everything. The production of invisible sense objects. That means the sense objects in a subtle form, they are either they are there in the they are there in the sky. They will not be able to see. Now, if somebody is able to pronounce them properly, they can make it into a visible form. These invisible senses can be made into visible form by yogis. Like Kardamuni, he created aerial mansion before this. How did he create? Where did they take the elements? He took it from this invisible sense objects. He took it from there and he created. And the circulation of vital air and blood in its internal activity. The subtle form exists in the ether has been proven by modern scientists by transmission of television. Wow, Prabhupada, that's very nice. He says that you we can convert the image into a subtle form and send it and again convert into an image. That's what now we are able to see. It's actually virtual only. The form you are seeing in front of you, it's virtual. What I am saying, it's virtual. How did it got converted? They made it into subtle form, transmitted it, again made it into gross. Can we see any of these electron waves, whatever is coming through the signal, my internet? I cannot see that signals, but that signals are the forms which are going to come in my laptop, right? By which forms or photographs of one place are transmitted to another place by action of ethereal elements. Prabhupada also very, very interestingly, and it has very nice examples to explain. This is very nicely explained here. This verse is the potential basis of scientific research work. Wow. This verse is a potential basis of great scientific research work, where it explains how the subtle forms are generated from the ethereal element, what their characteristics and actions are, and how the tangible elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth, are manifested in the subtle form. Mental activities or psychological activities of thinking, feeling, and winning are also activities on the platform of ethereal existence. A statement in Bhagavad Gita that the mental situation at the time of death is the basis of the next birth is also corroborated in this verse. Mental existence transforms into tangible form as soon as there is an opportunity due to contamination or development of gross elements from subtle form. Very interesting purport. And these two purports, I also like this explanations and concepts to go more deeper, but we have some time constraints. From ethereal substance, which evolves, because this is very important because it starts creation. It's a very interesting thing. And if maybe some Saturday, Sundays, our sessions, now we will try to take this topic and go much more deep. The ethereal existence which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place on the impulse of time. First, it came from false ego with Lord's sexual energy, and now the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, and that the subtle element touch and then air and the sense of touch became prominent. At the course of in the course of time, when the subtle form are transformed into form gross forms, they become the object of touch. The object of touch and the tactile sense have developed after this evolution in time. Sound is the first sense object to exhibit material existence. And from the perception of sound, touch perception evolves. And from the touch perception, the perception of sight. That is the way of the gradual evolution of our perspective objects. Softness and hardness and cold and heat are the distinguishing attributes of touch, which is characterized as subtle form of air. This is softness, hardness, cold, heat. Tangibility is the proof of form. In actuality, objects are perceived in two different ways. They are either soft or hard, heat or cold. This tangible action of tactile sense is the result of evolution of air, which is produced from sky. And before air, there is sense of touch also is that is sense of touch is also there. Air is also there, which is coming from sky. So element of touch and then air and then touch begin. Okay, next we will take. The action of air is exhibited in moments of mixing, allowing approach to the objects of sound and other sense perceptions and providing for the proper function of all other senses. We should have separate presentation on this to make it more. Maybe in future we will make all the PPTs properly and we will see how scientifically it evolves. We should have a scientific video on it. We can perceive the action of air when the branches of trees move or by dry leaves on the ground collect together. Similarly, it is only by action of air that body moves. Wow, very nice point. There is movement of air, that's why our body is able to move. Now I am able to move my hand because of air only. Movement means air. That's why in the old age, the movement of air is spoiled. Pranavayus are becoming weaker and weaker. That's why we should do pranayama. So that our body will remain flexible. If our body is not flexible, you are not able to do sarvangasana, halasana, and they are not, then our body is not flexible. And the air circulation is impeded, many diseases result. Many of the diseases are because of vata dosha only, movement of air. Maximum diseases are vata. And paralysis, nerves breakdown, madness, and many other diseases are actually due to an insufficient circulation of air. In Ayurveda system, these diseases are treated on the basis of air circulation. If from the beginning one takes care of the process of air circulation, such disease cannot take place. And the Ayurveda as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam is clear. So proper taking care of process of air circulation means pranayama. It is clear that so many activities are going on internally, externally because of air alone. And as soon as there is some deficiency in air circulation, these activities cannot take place. Here it is clearly stated. Nirtrayam Dravya Shabdayo. Our sense of proprietorship over action is due to the activity of air. If the air circulation is stiff, one cannot approach a place after heat. If someone calls you, we can hear the sound because of air circulation, and we approach the sound or the place from which the sound comes. It is clearly stated here in this verse that these are all movements of air. The ability to detect orders is also due to action of air. By interaction of air and sensation of touch, one receives different forms according to destiny. By evolution of such forms, this their fire and ice sees different forms and colors. I'm really sorry. Actually, there are so many things we can discuss. Very, very scientifically explained. Even I also wanted to meditate on it. Maybe I will meditate and we will try to understand it much more deeper because I'm also feeling I'm not doing justice for the purpose. So nice. And whoever has some scientific acumen, they like to dive deep and understand the subjects. We'll see. I will, I will definitely try to work on. Because of destiny, the touch sensation, the interaction of air, sorry, by interaction of air, the sensation of touch to receive different forms according to destiny. By evolution of such forms, there is fire and ice and different forms. Destiny is here time only. Because of destiny, the touch sensation, interaction of air, the sensation of mind, which is produced by ethereal elements, one receives a body according to his previous action, activities. Needless to say, a living entity transmigrates from one form to another, from form changes according to destiny and by arrangements of a superior authority who controls the interaction of air and mental situations from the combination of different types of sense perceptions. Predestined activities are plans of mental situations and interaction of wow. uh, we'll end here. Maybe we'll discuss on this tomorrow. This is also very nice. Somebody we have to meditate on it very nicely. Prabhupada is writing very wonderful purports. Any questions, comments? Yes. Thank you all very much.